Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd here giving you your NBA DraftKings first look for Thursday. We've got a 5 game slate coming up for Thursday. Before I get into that though, why don't you go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Tell me how sexy this completely worn out voice is because I am absolutely struggling to get through these without losing my breath and coughing and spluttering all over the screen, and just got to preserve some of that volume. So let's talk about these games now. The first game we look at, the Utah Jazz taking on the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are on a back-to-back. We don't know whether DeAndre Hunter will play. He didn't play on Wednesday, so I'd have to assume that he will struggle to get up for this one. That would mean more minutes for Cam Reddish, more opportunities for Kevin Huerter as well. Solomon Hill, Tony Snell getting into the mix there also. I love Rudy Gobert at 7,500. I think there's a ton of value in Gobert going up against Clint Capella on this Hawks defense. Gobert is already averaging around 45 a game anyway over his last 5. Really strong numbers coming in from Rudy. The last couple have been a little bit down for him, but prior to that, he was putting up some big games. I think this is a prime bounce-back opportunity for Gobert. Then we can look at Donovan Mitchell as well at 7,800. Anytime Mitchell goes above 8,000, I feel like it's getting a little bit too high. But as we saw last game, he had a 44-pointer. The 2 games before that were sub. They were subpar. 19.75, 23.5, but then 43 upside. Harder to get excited about him in cash, but there is tournament value there. I do like Trae Young at 9,300. He's producing like a $10,000 player at this point. So when you can get him at that price, I think it's worth it. While Bojan Bogdanovic is a bit risky. He has played a little bit better of late, but not particularly well. 30 points in the last one, 39 and 38, which at 5,700, that's beating value 3 consecutive games. The worry you have is with his shooting, and 2 of those games he shot over 60%, meaning you worry about where regression comes in. But nice stuff getting to the line, 19 times in the last 3 games, so that's helping. I don't mind Bogdanovic at that sort of salary. Jordy Clarkson's been struggling. I won't want to use him at 56, while Kevin Huerter at 55 would only be under consideration to me if DeAndre Hunter happens to sit. John Collins is at 7,300, and I don't know, he's just underwhelming continually. And that means we need your 38 to 39 fantasy points out of him against a Jazz defense. Yeah, I don't think that one's for me. The Jazz here are also favored by 7.5 on a back-to-back for the Hawks, and the total here is 224. The second game we look at is the Warriors taking on the Dallas Mavericks. This is also a back-to-back, and it is for the Mavericks. I don't expect Kristaps Porzingis to play, but it's hard to tell because he played a back-to-back earlier this season, and then he sat out all the last couple. So if he is out, we're looking at guys like Willie Cauley-Stein potentially having an opportunity to move back in and into the starting lineup and play some decent minutes. Yeah, that's a possibility. Now, we know the Warriors are without James Wiseman. They're also without Kevon Looney. So the big fella, Juan Toscano Anderson, I reckon there's a big chance that he starts and plays pretty big minutes. He had 26 fantasy points last game, 16 real-life points in 27 minutes. At 3,500, I think in cash you have to have him. He's going to be really highly rostered, and there's value in him. Andy Wiggins is at 6,500. I don't mind it. I'd rather at 61 or 62, but 65 is okay. And then Kelly Oubre is massively struggling. Although, in saying that, Oubre, despite some of the horrendous performances he's putting up shooting-wise, he's not doing a terrible job of putting up fantasy points. Only 16 last game, but 30 the game before that. 2 games prior, 41. Now, the problem is these ones in between where he has 12 and 16. But there is some GPP value in Oubre, and people will be pretty scared to roster him. Luka's at 10-9. That looks pretty good on this sort of slate. I like that one quite a bit. While Steph at 9-8. Maybe that's pushing a little bit high for Steph, but I don't dislike it. He's obviously awesome. He had 73 fantasy points the game before, which is a great number. 49 the game before that. But we need 49 on a regular basis, and I'm just not sure that it's there for Steph at that sort of level. Draymond Green, not interested in him. Josh Richardson, Tim Hardaway, very hard to get excited. Cauley-Stein's the one I want to watch at 4,100 if we do get the confirmation, as expected, that Kristaps Porzingis isn't ready to go and won't play in the back-to-back. Although he could. He definitely could. He may not, though. The next one we look at, The Philadelphia 76ers on a back-to-back are hosting the Portland Trailblazers. No spread or total for this one. Damian Lillard is questionable with abdominal issues, abdominal discomfort. If he is out, holy shit, that Blazers team, they're going to have to start Anthony Simons, who was also on a minutes restriction last game. Man, Simons and Trent as your starting backcourt, things could get pretty wild there. Will Embiid play in this one on a back-to-back? You imagine he will. I can't see why he wouldn't, but who knows? A lot of question marks here with this one. No one's going to want to roster Seth Curry because he has been terrible. Therefore, I'll throw him into a GPP because there's a clear 35-point upside there with Seth, but he's just been nowhere near it. If we hear Embiid is playing at 10-2, he will imagine him against Enes Kanter. Holy shit, it's going to be huge. It's going to be 60 points. Love this for Embiid. Enes Kanter, on the other hand, at 7,000, you never like centers going up against Embiid. They just erase blokes, and Kanter I don't think will be any different at that salary. Lillard's at 10-4, which I do like if he plays, but the questionable tag is hovering over this. He's giving us really good numbers, 49, 36, 68, 49. It's not quite 10,400 worth most of the time, but it's not far off. Toby Harris at 72 is a very strong cash play. Not interested in Simmons. And then you got the opportunity with Nasir Little out. What happens if Derek Jones is out again? We get Rodney Hood in there? Do we ever get someone like DeSimons push up at 4,600? Could we get a CJ Allaby game? Who knows? I wouldn't put it past Allaby because they are running short on wings. If Jones is out, Little's out, then Lillard's out, and you got Simons and Trent starting at the 1 and the 2, it's going to be Hood and Allaby to play minutes at the 3? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stuff that can happen in this game, just depending on how a couple of those injury scenarios play out. More important, the Jones and Lillard ones, Lillard in particular, can really change quite a few things there. The Rockets and the Grizzlies. The Rockets were able to rest a lot of their guys on Wednesday because they were blown out by the Thunder, so they kept the minutes down. Now, we don't expect Victor Oladipo to play in this one, but John Wall could return. Wall's at 6,900, and if he is ready to go, and the Achilles soreness was just a back-to-back rest scenario, then I like him at that 6,900 mark. There's no Valanciunas or no Grayson Allen again for Memphis. So we're looking at Gorgie Jeng and the cashier Xavier Tillman to have some value. Tillman at 5,200 is a nice cash option. Jeng, on the other hand, at what his salary is, 4,400. He's more of a GPP guy because if they give him 28 minutes, he'll beat that number comfortably. Ja Morant's at 76. I wouldn't say he's been blowing us away since he returned. He had 23 fantasy points last game. 31, 38. Like, they're not great numbers. I'd look at him more as a GPP option, while Christian Wood at 8,800, that looks pretty strong to me. I think he'll be able to put up some pretty decent numbers in this one. Even though it is on a back-to-back. Eric Gordon at 58, if we do get the assumption that Oladipo's out, and then if Wall's out, that really helps Gordon there. And then with Grayson Allen out, DeAnthony Melton, who's been putting up strong numbers, they just have to lean into him getting 29 a night, and he will smash this. I don't know that they do it, but there is that value that's really staring at us. I also think Daniel House at 4,100 could be an option if John Wall does happen to sit this one out again. The last game of the night, we're looking at the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. You have to be under the assumption that Michael Malone does the wrong thing and starts Will Barton again. The Lakers are 5.5 point favorites here, and the total's 219.5. Gary Harris is out once more, so Monty Morris will get another start, and Morris at 4,200 looks to be one of the better plays of the day. He'll start next to Jamal Murray. He'll put up 20 plus and should be really good value. Horton Tucker's taken over Wes Matthews' spot in the rotation, and he's almost a minimum salary player. He's only a GPP option, but he's in the rotation. We know he can stuff the stat sheet. Could he have 20 points in his 18 minutes? I think it's a possibility. Not someone to completely disregard. 9,700 for Anthony Davis. Davis is just chugging along and still giving value. I like him under 10,000 anytime. And LeBron's right on 10. I'd rather Davis at 9,700 than LeBron at 10. Jokic is at 11,000. It's a high price, obviously, but really nobody's been stopping Jokic. He has had troubles with Davis and the Lakers in the past, so maybe that gives me a level of pause. But I'm still going to consider him. I'd rather use 9,700 on Davis, to be honest. But Jokic is still an option for us, still someone who is in play here. Schroeder at 55 doesn't do it for me, while Porter at 61, hard to get excited given the way that the minutes will be distributed. And 5,200 for Will Barton, I think he's worth looking at, especially if they force feed him 30-plus minutes again. That'll do it for me today. Don't forget, hit that subscribe down below, hit the bell, notifications, give it a thumbs up. And you can also check me out on my channel, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball. You can see the link in the description and in the title of this video. Subscribe here as well to all of the other stuff Al's got going on. Guys, we are done. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.